What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on this broadcast, we are going to be bantering about the state of the 2023 Chicago White Sox. Now, before I get into it, there is a corresponding article on laracuenteledger.com that will discuss all of the details that we're going over in this video. So make sure you check that out. Links are down in the show notes below. Now we begin with the major acquisitions. Now, the major acquisition for the White Sox was Andrew Benintendi. This is a player who's really going to profile well in this lineup. I think that Benintendi's contact-first approach is really going to help some of these swing and miss characters that are on this White Sox lineup really start to change their approach a little bit, really adjust their mindset, and it'll help them in the long run to be able to really push themselves towards a postseason spot. I think that Chicago is really in a prime position to be able to go after not just the American League Central Division, but a wild card spot if they fall out of the division contention. I think that there's an opportunity that a guy like Benintendi could really filter his contact first approach throughout the course of this lineup. So a very good signing for Chicago. Now, when we look at the significant injuries, there were quite a few players on the 2022 roster that played a big part in the White Sox not finishing where they wanted to. There's going to be several guys on this upcoming season that we're paying attention to. Guys like Tim Anderson, Garrett Crochet, Michael Kopech, Luis Robert Jr. I think that when you look at some of these guys, obviously we have seen in the WBC Tim Anderson and Luis Robert Jr., and they look to be doing well. They're healthy. We're also going to be paying attention to the way that Garrett Crochet goes and Michael Kopech for this White Sox team. I think that there's going to be an opportunity for these guys to get back to being healthy. For me, the White Sox were the team that was the team to beat going into the 2022 season before all of the injuries really knocked them off. And I think that if they can go back to being healthy, this is a team that has the opportunity and the ability to win the American League Central. Now, when it comes to the top prospect, Colson Montgomery, a shortstop, is the top prospect in the White Sox system. When it comes to this prospect, this is a guy who profiles as a very balanced all-around player, high caliber player that is drawing comparisons to Corey Seager is the billing on MLB.com. He has very good bat-to-ball skills and is going to be somebody who is probably going to move from shortstop to third base and project a little bit better defensively as a third baseman, but could genuinely remain at the shortstop spot and be an average to slightly above average defender at the position. I think that for Chicago, there's going to be a lot that you're going to try to figure out with this player. You already know that Tim Anderson is coming up on his free agency in a couple of seasons, and this is going to be a guy who you're hoping can move into that spot. Now, I do believe that the White Sox are going to try to do all that they can to keep Tim Anderson because he is a very good fit for that roster, but having a guy like Colson Montgomery waiting in the wings is not a bad situation to be in. Now, when it comes to the bold prediction for the White Sox, I'm predicting that Luis Robert Jr. is going to play in 140 games. This has been a player that has absolutely dynamic talent, but has been unable to remain on the field. For the 2022 season, this was a player that was really expected to be a major part, a major influence on the offensive lineup. However, injuries took their toll. So now, as we head into 2023, there's no doubt about it, this player is still expected to be one of the frontline pieces to this offense. If he can prove and stay healthy through 140 games, I think that this is going to be one of the most dynamic players in all of Major League Baseball. As we look at the divisional rankings prediction, we have an article up on laracuenteledger.com and a corresponding video here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And on that video, we said that the White Sox are going to finish in third place. I think that it is going to be an extremely tight battle between the White Sox, Twins, and Guardians in this division. I think that there is going to be some injuries that may play a big factor just based on track record for the White Sox and keep them kind of in this third place spot. But if they can prove healthy, throughout the course of this season, I think that they have a very good shot to be able to win the division. Now, when we grade out the pitching staff for the Chicago White Sox, it's a C+ grade. I think that for Chicago, there are some serious arms in that rotation and in that bullpen, but there's going to be questions about their health. And because of that concern, they're only slightly above average. I think that we're going to see a major season out of Dylan Cease, but there's going to be questions about the rest of that rotation and if they can stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, they push and blow past this C+ grading into a much higher echelon in Major League Baseball. But because of those concerns, we have to kind of temper expectations a little bit, and that's why they get a C+ grade. Now, when it comes to grading out the offense for the Chicago White Sox, I give it a B overall. There is balance to this lineup now. I think that the acquisition of Andrew Benintendi, the signing this offseason, really helps balance this White Sox lineup out. There's a mix of righties, lefties. They have some switch hitters. You also have in that lineup a balance of power and contact. You have some guys that are going to run the bases a little bit with a little bit of speed. So there's a very good mix for this White Sox team. Again, health is going to be the biggest indicator of success for this team in 2023. But when you look at what the offense is capable of based on their talent, this is definitely an above average offense. And when it comes to grading out their offseason, it's an F+. I think that there's very, very little that was done by the White Sox. And yes, maybe they didn't need to do as much as long as they made sure that their players were healthy going into this 2023 season. But we know how baseball is. Baseball is a season of attrition. It's a marathon. It's a grind. It's a battle. And you have to prepare for players to be injured. You have to get your entire organization built upon depth to be able to sustain that. And the White Sox did none of that this offseason. So very much a failing grade for the White Sox this offseason. Now, when it comes to grading out the franchise as a whole, it is a C+ grade. I think that they're slightly above average right now. And again, I think a lot of it is predicated on health. If they can prove that they're healthy in their pitching staff, they're going to elevate this grading up quite a bit. But I also think that there's questions about the fact that they did not do anything this offseason to really boost up their depth, to be able to build a base, a foundation that is going to be able to sustain the grind of 162 games. I think that for the White Sox, they're in a division that is very much winnable, but they're going to be dealing with two teams ahead of them that are really in the hunt for a very serious run in the postseason, and they have done more to solidify themselves in that postseason hunt. I don't know necessarily what the direction is that is truly believed by the White Sox front office, but I think that there's an opportunity that this team could really push past some expectations of this third place finish that we believe here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast that they're going to end up in. But there's an opportunity there for them. It's all going to be based on health. But I think that overall right now, grading out the franchise as it is entering the 2023 season, it is slightly above average with a C+ grade. But I want to hear from you, White Sox fans. Let me know what your thoughts, your feelings are on your team. Where do you think that you're going to end up against the competition in the American League Central, in the American League wildcard race, the postseason race? How does everything shake out for your team in 2023? Let me know that down in the comments, or find me over on Twitter at banter_baseball. You can follow our other social media outlets on Instagram and TikTok at Baseball Banter Broadcast. You can also find our corresponding article up on laracuenteledger.com about this video, as well as many other topics in the world of Major League Baseball, as well as some other areas of interest. Now, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to show more support, head over to baseballbanterbroadcast.com. It is our merchandise shop. We have a ton of promo codes running through the banner on top of the website that you can use to save on some Banter merch. So I want to thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you check us out here by hitting that subscribe button and the bell for post notifications on this YouTube channel, as most of our audience is not yet subscribed. and it would do a huge service as we try to grow this baseball community. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, I thank you once again for joining us. Leave a 5-star rating and review so we can continue moving up the listing, the rankings, to be able to bring more eyes to the product here at the Baseball Banter Broadcast. So I want to thank you once again for tuning in. Keep it locked in until the next broadcast when we banter about baseball. Peace.